Welcome back to From My Living Room to Yours. I'm Brenda Soul. I'm the rector at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Encinitas, California. The other day I was thinking about how helpful it is that we're all going through this crisis together. And yet it's hard that we're all going through it at the same time because I'm already weary caring for myself, and then to listen to somebody else's story of them caring for themselves, it can add up. So I mentioned last week the importance of us telling our stories, especially our stories of resilience. For these next few sessions, I've invited other parishioners to tell their stories. Today, I've invited Jim and Kathleen Stivens to share. You usually see Jim and Kathleen singing in the choir. Jim's also been senior warden since I've been here and the president of the Diocesan Standing Committee during the bishop transition. Jim, Kathleen, take it away.
All right, thanks, Brenda. We're happy to be here and glad to be able to share this time with those of you who are listening in to from Brenda's living room and from our office to you. When Brenda asked us to share a little bit of a story where we had to rely upon a sense of resilience to live through some difficult times, what first came to mind was the experience that we had together as a married couple back early in our married life when I was in the Marine Corps and was I was ordered to go overseas for a period of what turned out to be 14 months.
And we were 23 years old.
Yeah, we were just babies at the time. We were been married for about 15 months. Kathleen had just given birth to our first child, Timothy, in September. And while she was still in the hospital, I got orders to go from the unit I was with to another battalion at Camp Pendleton that was scheduled to go over to the Far East on the 1st of March, of course, without dependents. So we knew we were looking at a time of being alone for some at least 12 or 13 months. It turned out to be 14 months that we were alone. We had a young baby, and by the time that I actually was getting on board ship to head to the Far East in the end of February, 1st of March of 1964.
Oh, you don't have to tell that.
Yeah, that's how long ago it was. Kathleen was pregnant with our second child. She was about 4 months along at that point in time.
Don't add it up. Just go with it.
So we had a tough chore ahead of us. Tough for us, unusual, once in a lifetime experience for us, not so much for others who have had a service career and been in the military. But for us, it was something where we had to call upon something extra to get through this difficult time. What I think we felt we relied upon in order to make this work and to get through it was to store up our own courage, rely upon our sense of commitment to each other, and to make sure that we stayed in full communications. The other things that we relied upon to make it work were what I call the three F's for us, which were family, friends, and faith. For Kathleen, family was an extremely important part. Do you want to tell about how your family supported?
Sure. So I go home to live with my family in Glendale with a baby and pregnant with another baby and kind of like take over the house. And every time I'd ask my mom how about it, she'd say, well, your dad really loved it while you all came home. So we did fine though. My sisters were helpful, and Jim and I wrote each other every day, and we made little tapes, the little 3-inch tape things that would go back and forth. And so I'd send him those tapes, and we had transatlantic or trans-Pacific, I guess, or whatever ocean it was. Anyway, and it you had to say over, it sounded like he was at the end of the world. It was not very good for communication, but there was nothing special, like we have now with Zoom and FaceTime and whatever, all the different things. But we made it, you know.
Yeah, and for me, what was really important was relying upon friends, and it was new friends for me. So new people that I met that were in my unit in the Marine Corps, and we became, because we needed to, we relied upon each other. And there was a group of about 7 or 8 or 9 of us who were all young officers in the battalion. And we shared a faith together, and we shared our friendship together, and our mutual support was critically important to us during that period of time. And I mentioned that we shared faith together. That was an important element for us while I was overseas, going to regular services, having prayer time, and spending time together in prayer and relying upon our faith. We had a wonderful experience of having a chaplain with us who was a wonderful guide and mentor to us during that period of time. You want to talk about your own faith experience during that period?
Really important, you know, just prayer every day and church on Sunday. Yeah, that's what I remember. That's what I remember.
Good.
It's a long time ago to remember.
And Kathleen mentioned communications. That was a critically important part of getting through this. We didn't have what we have today and what we're all experiencing during this period of isolation. We didn't have the access to easy communications on a daily basis or any kind of FaceTime, so that letters and tapes and very occasional trans-Pacific communications on the phone was our reliance upon communications.
But it did get over with.
That's right.
It did get over with.
Yeah.
And the, I'm telling you that part.
Sure.
The getting over with part was really good down there at the Broadway Pier with the big ship coming in and all the guys standing and waving, and Jim getting to meet his daughter for the first time. So that's what we remember part of the getting over with and knowing that we had gotten through it, which is like for everybody right now, we will get through this.
Yeah, and we held on to that throughout the time that we were separated, that we knew that at a time it would get over and that we would be reunited. And in fact, my coming home, the anniversary of my coming home was on April 24th of 1965, 55 years ago. Comes up next week. And it was an important time and a memory that I think we'll all have once we get back to some sense of normalcy.
And how fun it'll be to be together again. I wonder what Brenda will say at her sermon when we finally get back to church. I'm looking forward to that one.
So thank you all for sharing this time with us, and stay safe, stay well.
Wash your hands. Bye.
Wow, I hope all of you enjoyed that as much as I did. Thank you, Jim and Kathleen. Until next time, may you experience God's strength and grace in unexpected ways.